Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we will be doing a recap for the movie Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Before getting into our video, subscribe to our channel to avoid missing updates. Spoiler alert! The film starts in 1996 at the St.Estes home for orphans, a school where we meet a young woman named Frances Barrison who can manipulate sound, and her boyfriend, Cletus Kasady, learn from her doctor that her mutations are advancing. She is worried that she will be taken away to a place where there are others like her. Police then come inside the room and drag her away into a police vehicle. To escape from the police, she creates a powerful sonic blast with a streak that leaves a young cop named Patrick Mulligan deaf. Mulligan was luckily able to reach for his gun and land a shot to her eye before she could cause any more damage. She is then taken to Ravencroft Institute and power has been restricted unbeknownst to Mulligan, who believes he killed her. Currently, Frances is still locked away at Ravencroft and Cletus is now in prison after committing multiple murders. While in prison, Mulligan asks to meet with Eddie Brock, a journalist for the newspaper. Eddie is then taken to see Cletus by Patrick Mulligan, a detective. They both want to find out where Cletus buried the missing bodies of his victims. Venom wants to eat Mulligan because he's a jerk, but Eddie keeps Venom's appetite for flesh in check. Eddie meets with Cletus, who requests that Eddie print a message in the paper to Frances. Before leaving, Venom instructs Eddie to investigate Cletus's cell further. Venom memorizes the carvings on the wall of Cletus's cell, which he believes contain information about where his victims' bodies are buried in his apartment. Eddie reports to the authorities, which leads them to a beach, and bodies are found in the area. This convinces the judge and governor to reinstate the death penalty, and Cletus is sentenced to death. At Eddie's apartment, Venom begins complaining that he is starving and wants to go eat bad guys, but Eddie reminds him that the FBI is still investigating everything that went down, so they have to be responsible. Eddie later gets a call from his ex-fiancée, Anne Weying, who says that she has something she wants to tell him and asks if they can meet. Unfortunately for them, Anne tells Eddie that she and Dr. Dan Lewis plan on getting married. While Venom is wishing death upon Dan, and Anne's able to figure out that Venom is still with Eddie based on the way Eddie's acting, she gets frustrated with Eddie and leaves after telling Venom to take care of him and not to tell him to mess everything up. The next morning, Venom prepares breakfast for the bereaved Eddie and brings him his mail, where he discovers a letter from Cletus. Cletus's murder of his mother and grandmother and how he met Frances are mentioned in this letter. Eddie receives a postcard from Cletus inviting him to one final visit before his execution. The card also describes his past exploits, such as the abuse he endured at the hands of his father, which led him to murder his grandmother by pushing her down the stairs in her wheelchair and electrocuting his mother in the bathtub. Eddie reluctantly pays a visit to Cletus, but the madman provokes Eddie by reminding him that he not only drove Anne away, but that his father blamed him for his mother's death during childbirth. Venom pushes Cletus against the wall, but when he pulls him closer to Eddie, Cletus bites Eddie's hand and draws blood, even though Cletus recognizes that what he is tasting is not normal blood. Before ingesting the blood on his own finger, Cletus sees it come to life. Venom observes that he most likely just made a mistake. Eddie and Venom return home, where Eddie is pissed off at Venom for nearly getting them caught and messing up the interview. Eddie has grown tired of not living his own life and always needing to deal with Venom, nagging him and causing problems. But Venom tells Eddie that he is lucky that he even chose him. Eddie responds by calling Venom a loser who got kicked off his planet, so Eddie breaks his nose. They have a big fight where Venom destroys Eddie's entire apartment before leaving and attaching himself to someone. Cletus was found guilty of his crimes and sentenced to death by lethal injection, but something blocks it. Eddie's venom and Cletus's blood cause Cletus to transform into Carnage. Carnage then brutally slaughters the guards before fleeing San Quentin. He murders another man outside and steals his clothes before driving to Frances's house. Carnage informs Cletus that he wants his assistance in killing Venom to become the strongest symbiote, and Cletus agrees that he assists him in finding Frances. Cletus and Carnage then go to a gas station where Cletus murders the clerk and with Carnage's assistance hacks the internet to learn that Frances is at the Ravencroft Institute. Kasady frees Barrison in Ravencroft and they travel to their old children's home to burn it down. Cletus and Frances plan their wedding that they will celebrate by killing Venom. Eddie and Mulligan find out that Frances has escaped as well. The detective brings Eddie to questioning because he and Cletus are working together. Mulligan instructs Eddie to keep him informed if he learns anything new about Cletus. Eddie investigates what Venom picked up and is drawn to St.Estes, where he sees CK and FB carved on a tree. He calls Mulligan, who knows it's about Frances, but he believes he killed her when he shot her all those years ago. Venom continues to infiltrate bodies, but none of them can fully contain him before succumbing to his venom. Venom manages to get himself to Mrs. Chen's shop and seek her assistance as his current body is about to fail. Cletus arrives at Ravencroft to find Dr. Pazzo taunting Frances. Cletus soon appears and uses Carnage's tentacles to murder Dr. Pazzo and free Frances from her cell. For her abilities, he renames her Shriek. They then kill the guards before heading to St.Estes to burn it down. Carnage uses his abilities once more as authorities and armed personnel approach, while Shriek uses her powerful screams against them, which Carnage dislikes because noise weakens symbiotes. He directs Cletus to keep her in check. Mulligan arrests Eddie in the hopes of bringing Cletus to them. Eddie uses his phone call to ask Anne for help. Dan transports her to the station where Eddie informs her that he needs Venom's help fighting back. Anne and Dan visit Mrs. Chen's shop where Anne realizes Venom uses Mrs. Chen as a compatible host. Anne can persuade Venom to rejoin her. They return to the station where Anne frees Eddie. Before returning to his body, Venom demands a genuine apology from Eddie. After Eddie apologizes to him, they find Cletus. But before Anne and Dan can get somewhere safe, Anne is captured by Frances to lure Eddie. Cletus has also managed to capture Detective Mulligan. They then begin the wedding and wait for Eddie and Venom to show up. Eddie, Venom, and Dan make their way to the cathedral for the showdown. When Venom sees how large Carnage is, he panics. Eddie has to promise him that he can eat whoever he wants. The epic symbiote battle begins, with Venom battling Carnage's many powerful attacks. Despite Cletus's protest, Carnage orders Shriek to remain outside. Dan manages to subdue Carnage by hurling fire at him. Mulligan tries to flee, but Shriek pursues him, and after stabbing him in the back, she tries to tear out his eye. Carnage transforms into Cletus after Venom has been beaten bad enough to revert to Eddie. Cletus explains that he is not a crazy man but vengeful and then transforms back into Carnage. He then forces Eddie to watch as they kill Anne. They take her to the top of the building, but Frances asks them to stop saying that is too much, so Carnage says that he will shut her up for good and begins to strangle her to death. Cletus begs him to stop, and he eventually does, but Venom uses this as a distraction to save Anne and bring her safely to Dan. Carnage then lands multiple stabs into Venom's body and kills him. Still, Venom swaps a nearby Frances off the top of the building, causing her to shriek and create another powerful sonic blast that causes Carnage and Venom to fall off the top of the building. Both Eddie and Cletus fall, but while Venom manages to catch Eddie with the help of Anne and Dan, Cletus and Carnage are separated. Carnage attempts to crawl back to Cletus, but Venom stops him and devours him first, and Cletus's head before police helicopters show up, forcing them to run. They flee to a tropical beach where Venom gets to enjoy the wind and sand between his toes. Venom then asks Eddie where they will go next, and Eddie tells him anywhere that needs a protector. Venom informs Eddie the symbiotes can see other parts of the multiverse. A burst of energy appears to teleport them to a new location just as Venom tries to demonstrate. Eddie and Venom watch a news report about Spider-Man from J. Jonah Jameson on TV after the events of Far From Home. Venom growls and licks the image of Spidey on the screen. That's where the film ends. That's all we've got for today, guys. Don't hesitate to like the video and leave a comment telling us how much you enjoyed this movie. We'll see you in the following video. Till then, goodbye.